So the question that came in was, what about auras and chakras? What about auras and chakras? It's an interesting question on multiple levels. Let's start with chakras. When people begin to figure out the feeling of working with Source, God, consciousness, they tend to go through processes in their mind. So, for instance, when I had my first Kundalini rising, is what they would call it, and I'm using that terminology because it is the terminology that people would understand, Kundalini being the root chakra. I was not trying to have a Kundalini rising. I was literally focusing my energy on my feet and bringing heat up through my body and slowly bringing it up my body, and I had this what people would refer to as a Kundalini rising. Well, in a Kundalini rising, you're bringing up the energy from below through the Kundalini, and then bringing that energy up through all of the chakra system up to the top. The word chakra is less a truth of individual energy points of the body and more a label placed upon systems that have been put in place to do the process. So when I had my experience, I was not focusing on chakras. I knew nothing about chakras when I had the experience the first time. But in other systems, they label things chakras, and so the names like chakras and Kundalini, these are names that are given by the human mind to processes that are energetic processes, basically. So when I look at the process of that experience I had, what it really was focus. I was focused on my feet, I was focused on my shins, I was focused on my knees, I was focused on my thighs, I was focused on my pelvis, I was focused on my belly button, I was focused on my solar plexus, I was focused on my chest. So I was focusing all these positions because it was the next logical step in bringing that heat up my body. And so if I was going to teach it, I would say, focus on your feet, focus on your shins, and I would bring it up my body that way. That's all the word chakra really is an explanation of how to focus, where to put focus. And when you put the focus in those areas, you physically feel those areas. Like when I focused on my feet, I became very consciously aware of the feeling of my feet. And that was the most important element of that, was the feeling of it, getting to that space. And by bringing it up my body, what I was doing was actually leaving that section of my body. I was actually moving into a different consciousness, right? So what are chakras? Chakras are literally labels placed upon processes. Auras, hang on, what are trains? What are trains as they go by? So the other thing is auras. Okay, now when people look at certain things, they see. Some people see colors, and they call that an aura color, right? When you look at old paintings of saints and Jesus, and they have halos, right? They have these. When I look at a tree right here next to me, I see about just a little ways out from the edge of that tree, I see like a shadow of an energetic halo around obstacles, around objects, around people. I see this halo. I never see auric colors. I've never had that experience, and when I looked into auras and I tried to see colors, I did not see them. And then I did more research and found out the colors were part of a depiction of a chakra system thing where they would label them a color, so you would focus on a color as it would correlate to a very specific point of your body. And I personally think that the color system in auras is kind of carried over from that sort of process. But when I look at the world, it's kind of hard to describe, but after that first Kundalini rising, when I look at the world, I don't see it like I used to see it. I look at the sky and I see all the dots that make up the sky. I don't mean the cloud, I don't mean the blue sky. I mean, I see all the dots that make up the illusion of it. And I see the dots moving around, and I'm not talking about eye floaties. Beyond the eye floaties, there's actually sparks and tingles of movement that are out there. And no, I don't do drugs. But when I look at a wall, I see the same thing. When I look at a person, I see the same thing. I see this energy. And when I see that shadow or that halo around somebody or around a tree, I believe it's just an extension of that. It's just an extension of that. I mean, you've walked past people and felt their presence as you walk by. I believe you're experiencing their energy, their consciousness, right? Consciousness is not confined by your skin. I said this in a video just the other day. You don't end at your skin. All of this energy, all of this pool of energy is just an illusion, and you're within that is this in that energy, your consciousness affects it. And so the physical body you have is a consciousness of belief, and your consciousness has a belief, and it shows you the physical body. But your consciousness doesn't end at that physical body. It expands, it's past that. And that's easy to say because every NDE tells you that you are not your physical body. Because you're out of your body. I've been out of my body several times, and you're not your physical body. Your physical body is just part of this energy equation that we're living in, this illusion that we're looking at. And so what are auras and chakras? Personally, I think they are systems of belief that are wrapped around something far more simple. And that far more simple is that you are one with everything. And that all of the energy processes is just where you're focusing your consciousness. You're letting your eyes focus on somebody, and your mind is filling in a color, because that color represents something to you. And so there's a lot. It's a construct of belief being wrapped around something more simple. Because you don't. I prove that you don't need to know anything about chakras to have what they would call a Kundalini rising. I did it without knowing it, and I don't use chakra systems at all. It's just put your focus where your focus goes, and fill that focus with love, and imagine what will happen when you start to consciously choose love over anything else. So you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.